work for Europe, baby. And we're back.
Who's back?
I'm back, and I wanna apologize for last week, you buttholes.
To us or to the listeners?
The listeners can go fuck themselves. To you guys.
Okay. Well, what happened anyway?
My home situation wouldn't allow me to. Well, I fucked up like twice. First, I thought it was Wednesday all day when it was actually Thursday.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't plan accordingly. And then we said we're going to do it Friday. So you guys were very awesome in changing it up a day. And then one of my kids decided to barf all over the place and just not complying with my schedule at all. So I couldn't join.
Yeah. And usually when that happens, they can like sense the aggravation or sense that you need to like get out of there, and then it just gets even worse.
So yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just like, yeah, well, I mean, this is also the reason we're like why we're with 3 hosts now. Yeah. So stuff like this can happen.
I mean, I'm glad it happened to you first, but I'm sure it's still going to happen to me and Albert at some point.
Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
So and obviously, like, you need like a good episode every once in a while. So yeah.
So that's why you skip one. Or...
Yeah. I'll just make the jokes for you. This is a tactic, so you can't fucking take it out on me all episode.
Yeah. So we kind of missed out on like, was it 2 episodes? So I don't even remember the show that we went to. What was the name of that show we were at?
The Dutch Knife Expedition.
Yeah, tell us something about that.
Yeah, let's fuck our weeks and let's talk about the knife show, Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? That was your first show? Is that what you expected?
Yeah, I was like, when I arrived, like with my dad, and I saw you were all like fucking set up and ready to go, and I was like, oh, I am not prepared at all. It was so fucking messy, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I love talking to everyone. I was amazed about how few people actually know that you exist.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the internet you think that everyone knows you, but no one knows you actually. So
yeah, those quite a lot of people that came up, like you said, didn't know who you were, or they did know who you were, and they just wanted to talk.
Yeah, but also like they've never saw like the Revolution live, which was great. And cool. I think also I liked, I don't know, I'll have you talk about it also, but the combination was pretty cool because between like our shops, they literally had anything they wanted.
Yeah, from like steel to forging and the hammers and everything that you would need.
Oh, the hammers! That was funny.
Yeah.
Fuck. So okay, I have like 2 of the $100 hammers from Housemade, and I had them like hanging on the forge. I don't know how many people, but it was like at least a dozen people just asked like, how much for this one? How much for this one? How much for this one? I was like, I need to get those out of the way because they're not for sale.
Yeah, and I had like my, I don't know, like my budget hammers hanging up next to them, and they were all like on straight face. Yeah. I didn't even notice that. I didn't see it.
It wasn't good for sale, so I took them out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
How do you like it? Yeah,
I like the location. We could just drive up, especially being a material supplier. It's sometimes you got a lot of stairs and you got elevators and I got so much stuff to move. It's a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Like the next one I'm going to this week in Eisenach, I got to go across like a cobble driveway and then upstairs and then up a couple of more stairs, and it just takes forever. And the knife makers come in with a leather roll and roll their knives out, throw 6 knives on the table, and then come over and harass me the whole time and try to buy stuff while I'm putting it up. And I'm like, give me a few minutes.
Yeah, it's like a market type thing, you know, where they just want first dibs on your stuff. Yeah. I already saw them talking to you when I arrived.
Yeah, I got there at 6, so I had 3 hours to set up.
I actually had to pick up that Revolution that I had with me beforehand from Tretten Knives.
Yeah, that was
He
a
had
cool
like the OG
edition.
ID plate on it and everything. It's a very cool looking machine. But yeah, I've decided I'm gonna build a beautiful Revolution this week,
Stainless
the
steel.
coming week. No, it's not going to be stainless steel. I looked into that, and it's just you're gonna like fake people, because if it'll look very good in stainless steel, and then people will be disappointed when they get the steel parts.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be like a lot prettier than my own Revolution, because obviously my own Revolution gets used a lot and it's not looking as pretty. So I'm gonna build one just for the shows and the content, and it'll have like also the ID plates and everything on it.
Yeah, the plates are cool. On the big brass plates.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
So show wise, was it like a good show? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I think it was cool. I have a lot of customers in the Netherlands that I've never met or just only talked to online, so it's always nice to meet the people and try it. I'm horrible with names, and sometimes they tell me a name, and I'm like, yeah, but what's your Instagram name? I order from you all the time. I'm like, yeah, nice to meet you. And then there was like the crazy Dutch language that's like sometimes sounds like half English, half German, and I understand like maybe half of it, and the next time they talk, you don't know anything.
There was a very funny situation when there was like a group of people that were Dutch, and they thought I was English or foreign as well.
Yeah.
So they were talking like they were talking shit in Dutch, and I was like, oh, okay, I can hear you. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was weird. I actually have a live audio recording from the show. You guys want to hear it?
Oh Lord.
Sure.
This is going to be bad.
Wij kinderen waren zinhuigelijk. Ruiken in de suikernuigennudel. Weer heißen neder. Geen maak hummer en een klein eukenhuid.
That's what I had to hear all weekend.
I don't even know what that guy said. That's not Dutch.
No, I found some guy on YouTube that said what Dutch sounds like to non-Dutch speaking people. So I just wanted to hear your reaction on it.
Oh my God.
That was your national anthem in the background, in case you didn't know.
It was. I know my national anthem. That was terrible. It sounded more like something that came out of Denmark.
That sounded like Dutch to me, though.
Oh, it sounds Danish. Albert, are you there?
Yeah.
Sure.
How was your week? Because you weren't at the knife show, so let's hear your week.
Yeah, not much did happen here.
Oh.
I was stabilizing wood like crazy. I sent you a picture of that today. Walnut, yeah, Turkish walnut. We are at 150 blocks now, so that's what I wanted to do for Solingen. Then I was working on the steak knife handles. Did all the glue up, most of the sanding. Then we were forging Damascus for Solingen as well, because we have to bring some stuff to Solingen with us.
Hey, you need to bring lots of stuff. We have a lot of space, so
Yeah,
don't be shy.
Yeah, we're gonna bring. Yeah,
that was one little question I had, Keith. Like space-wise, how was the Dutch knife show? Was 3 tables enough?
Yeah, especially for the price that they had. We had 4 tables, and it was a big space. So I moved the tables way out so we could walk in between each of them. So
okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So, Albert, are you going to compete with Keith on the handle material?
no, because Keith doesn't have any walnut yet.
I don't. Nobody ever asked me.
Stabilized walnut. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll see. I like it a lot, actually, the stabilized walnut stuff. So we use it in our classes a lot because people seem to like it, especially with Damascus plates. It goes very well with the Damascus plates because birch and stuff has a very fine grain, and it might distract you somewhat, or the viewer, from the Damascus plate. So people tend to go for wood that's a bit more subtle in our Damascus forging classes. So that's also why we need a lot of stabilized walnut, because a lot of people use it in our Damascus forging classes. So whether or not we can sell it in Solingen, it's not really that important because we have people who use it anyway.
You're very good with wood, Albert.
I know.
I love my new cutting board. I love it.
Ah, you did get the wooden cutting board. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's also walnut.
I love it so much. I've been using the shit out of it.
Good. When did you get it?
I didn't. No, I didn't send you a message, did I? Did I get it? I'm terrible. Sorry. I got it right after the knife show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. It's amazing.
I gave it a spa treatment before I sent it to you.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Super. I'm glad.
I've been using the new knives like on it too. Keith, you saw them, right?
Which new knives? Oh, the one from Jeff Vader.
No, no, not the fucking Vader folder thing. You saw the knives that I got at the show?
No, I only saw the Vader.
Oh shit! I didn't see you. I got two chef knives from Patrick Block.
Mm-hmm.
Both very beautiful. But I thought you saw them. Shit.
Oh.
Do you know what I covered your board in?
Pelican paste.
Pelican paste, yeah.
Oh, like everything. I just used the hard, the soft, and the hand stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I combined it all. Yeah, and I fucking smeared everything. It's covered in it.
Ah, good.
My whole house smells like citrus.
It's
amazing.
Where did you get that stuff from?
DIY Europe.
Yeah, he's a sponsor of ours.
Yeah, Pelican paste. Pelican paste is the best stuff out there. You can literally, like, I'm covered in it right now.
You're fucked up, dude.
I am covered in it. Do you want to see? We should do
you.
this with video and actually like do a video
Break
of me
the
smearing.
internet.
Yeah, covering myself with Pelican paste. Would be great footage.
When are you getting the Pelican oil?
I don't know if we talked about this like on the show or after the show, but that thing what we talked about is going to happen.
Ah, good. Mm-hmm.
We're preparing the NDAs, and we're gonna.
That's so good.
Produce it in Europe. Yeah,
super.
Nice.
Very nice.
Which is going to be great, and then obviously like the oil stuff. Yeah, everything. Which is good. I think there's a need for it here.
I think
Definitely.
so too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what's the timetable for that, or the plan? Do you have a schedule? When is it going to happen? Because I'm not very patient.
I have stuff for you, like for your own use. I just don't have the oil yet, so it might be worth getting a box of oil from Travis.
Okay.
I have the oil. I don't have it here in Austria, but it's at my parents' house in America waiting for me.
Oh, but that's useless. Like,
I still might have it before you have it though.
No, I don't think so, because if I send Travis a message now, I'll have it like in
July.
14 days.
Hey guys, we have a guest waiting, but I wanted to say one more thing. I also got the first charity knife in the mail from Tobias Hangler showed up today because he won't be.
Was he the first one?
The first one, well, because he's not going to be there. They're going to be sending people that can't make it. Will send the knives to me, and I'll take them with me.
What a dickhead!
Super, really nice knife, and we got the website all set up to make payments for the tickets, which will be open May 8th. You better buy them online, and for 1 week until the show ends, up until May 14th is the last day you can purchase. So I put up a little thing in my story, and I didn't know that you could buy the tickets already because you weren't supposed to be able to. And I think we sold like $50 worth of tickets before we figured out that you weren't supposed to be able to.
Good.
So those are illegal tickets.
Yeah,
Don't talk about it. So what you have to, because you have like the Tobias Hangler knife, like You have it now?
I have it.
Whoever wins that, you should just keep that Hangler knife and then just send them one of your shitty knives.
Send him like an IKEA knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that, yeah. Kidding. On to our guest.
Yeah. Who do we got?
Mr. Alex Greenaway.
A patron of ours, I believe.
A patron of ours, one of my best and most handsome customers. I think he's one of your customers as well, Keith.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Hello,
Welcome.
Alex.
Good evening.
Hi.
And I'm soon to be one of Albert's as well. He's made me
Yeah,
up
right.
a billet for Solingen, so
That's right.
then I'll have the trifecta all signed off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. That's
Actually,
great.
the knife handle I just bought from Keith is going on to the billet from Albert for my son's birthday.
Ah, cool.
So
You're
Did you
giving
buy
your
it?
son a knife?
no, I'm making him a knife.
Yeah, of course. Kidding. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
He's 8 years old and he's a food maniac. He's cooking full meals for the whole family for the last 2 years.
Ah,
Wow.
nice.
So and
I need one of those kind of kids.
Same.
So he started off with one of these safety optional
Mhm.
French blunt knives, and then he's had 4 knives since then, and now he wants something a bit bigger because his hands are getting a bit bigger, and with a point because he's bored of not having a point on knives. So for his birthday in just over a month, then he will have a new knife.
Teach
And
him young.
And you're making him an Apex Ultra chef knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
That sounds
you-
like a good
Why not?
overkill.
That's
Yeah,
as
man.
good as it gets.
You're only 9 one time, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So,
Very nice.
but thank you very much for inviting me this evening. I
Sure.
was a little surprised that Keith had talked to the right person, but
Why? What's going on?
because in
No,
the
he-
world of European makers, I feel like I'm at the very, very bottom, and
Lord of Lords.
So-
You should know by now that we're not judging people by followers or whatever.
well, that's good because I don't care about that. That's
We don't either.
no, it's not something I use as a metric in my life or my existence. I
Good.
put pictures up on Instagram when people ask me to, or I think something's interesting, but I don't think I've ever sold anything through Instagram, so I don't see the need for it.
So you're
So-
part-time, right?
Yep, I am part-time for 6 years, and it's purely hobby business. I'm a full-time mechanical manufacturing engineer within biotech,
Explain
medical.
that, because
I work for a company. We make intravenous catheters, so we put little filters through your blood vessels up to your heart to stop blood clots killing you.
Oh, okay. A
So we-
stent.
So you've got. I'm gonna throw a fucking conspiracy theory in here.
Oh,
I
here we
have
go.
to. So you've been busy lately.
Nah, no, not so much. But it's a very, very niche product, and I work for a very small Danish company that's the only one making them like we do.
That's so tiny. That's such tiny stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my full-time job is very much not knife making. It's pretty much design, manufacture, and dealing with ISO standard documentation. So very, very dull.
Yeah.
So you guys generally keep my ears busy when I'm trying not to jump off the roof at work.
So does any part of your normal job like translate into knife making? Do you use any of it for that, or?
Not particularly. I do a lot of CAD at work, mainly for fixturing and manufacturing hold downs and so on.
Mhm.
But the manual hands-on approach is something that's come from my part-time hobbies through education. Because I originally studied as a mechanical engineer, which included 2-year apprenticeship of lathe and mill work. And over the last, say, 15 years of engineering within Denmark, more and more processes and manual machining jobs are being outsourced. So small companies can't afford to have a tool shop or keep someone on payroll to maintain tools. So that bit of my job is slowly disappearing, which then I have at home with the knife making. So it keeps my hands busy in the evening instead of just sitting around.
Way to shut your brain off a little bit and do something with your hands.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but it's very, very much a hobby. I think maybe I make 50 knives a year. Maybe.
Still 40 more than I do.
Yeah.
50 more than I do.
But most of my knives are one-offs, gifts. I make a lot of gifts for people. I think they're kind of sick of it by now. And I do it for the joy of creation rather than trying to make money out of it, because there's no money in it. Not the way I do it anyway.
Not for us normal people.
No.
Yeah.
But it's very fun. I enjoy it a lot, and my 2 eldest children, my boys, both enjoy hands-on. So one is very much into the kitchen, the other one is actually getting a lot more into woodworking. So it's quality time with them.
Yeah.
And to the extent a lot of the parents in my eldest kids' schools are terrified of our kids having play dates here, because they're like, "Oh, I've heard your son uses a table saw." I was like, "He's 11.
Yeah.
Of course he can use a table saw.
Sure.
He's been using it for several years, and he knows how to use it safely."
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a good upbringing.
yeah. So, but it mimics my upbringing. I was born with tools and farm life, so I want to pass that on as much as I can now, even though I've moved to Denmark and I live in a suburb.
Where were you born?
I was born in England. I was born in the Cotswolds in England.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite different to where I am now. But
Why did you leave England?
Shall I give you one guess?
Oh, well.
Love.
It wasn't your job.
No, it definitely wasn't my job. No. I met a Danish woman and she moved to England for me when I had my first job out of university. We had our first child in England and she didn't like it, so we moved back to Denmark. So she can work wherever, so it didn't really matter for that, but her family network was much better in Denmark, and I can pretty much be an engineer everywhere. So it works out quite nicely.
Yeah, well, sounds cool. So when did you decide that this podcast is 972 times better than the Fire and Steel podcast?
After this week, when he clickbaited me into actually feeling sorry for him for like an hour.
Yeah, that was a good one. I have to give it to them. That was a good one.
Yeah, they kept it going quite well. But no, at a certain point, I actually like to talk to people that actually do something instead of people talking about doing stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, but they're both good, nice guys to listen to, and Toby has a work ethic that's enviable, to be honest. I'm not sure if he's driven by the desire to work or it's his ADHD that's keeping him going, but that guy seems to never stop. But
I think he just looks. It looks better, like because honor is on the other side.
Yeah, in comparison, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I also have a lot of. Being in Denmark, I miss the English accent a lot.
Oh yeah.
So hearing Honor's northern accent and Toby's bastardized English Australian accent is kind of. I enjoy listening to it, even if they do talk drivel half the time.
Yeah, same. I enjoy it as well.
But they do talk about lots of other stuff. It would be nice occasionally they talk about knife making, not archery or jiu-jitsu or Toby's taking a dump on a job site or whatever he's doing.
Oh my God, that was a terrible one. Jesus Christ.
So when I get to listen to you guys and you actually doing something and talking about power hammers or going to trade shows or doing...
Don't say power hammer. You'll activate the Albert.
No. Don't worry.
Oh, he's awake.
No.
Power hammer.
I'm actually talking to a guy in Germany about trying to buy my first power hammer, and it's I'm trying to negotiate it with my my dear wife and potentially the neighbors.
Oh Lord!
Because
which
one are you looking at?
Just one of the small 40 kilo self-contained air ones, which are generically branded. One of the Chinese ones that have been made off the same cast plans for the last 10 years. So it's the Anyang or the Anyang ST or whichever it is. But the company I talked to seems really expensive to buy them new. But I've just been told to talk to a guy in Norway. It might be an easier way of getting one up to Denmark.
What company are we talking about?
In German?
Do you wanna? Yeah.
Oh, then I'll have to actually look in my email. I can't remember what he's called.
Is it Angele?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for you if you get them directly from China. If you want to buy an Anyang, it's cheaper to get it directly from China because they ship it for very little money to your doorstep. If you really want to buy one, we have contacts at Anyang. We could ask because we've been in contact with them.
Okay.
So
that's good to know.
But why a new one? Why not an old one, a used one? It's way cheaper usually.
There just aren't any around in Denmark to find.
Okay.
Else I'd have to go to Sweden, and it's a long drive up to the local, or the closest one I found was about an 8.5 hour drive to go and pick it up. So, and I like new shiny tops.
That's what we do all the time.
Well, you're welcome to drive one up here if you've got a little one.
Let me check.
No little ones.
Because
Albert, are these the same power hammers like Ben Camon in Hangler have?
No.
Is that no? It's different.
No, they have Kuhn Reiter, and Ben Camon has a Turkish one, but very similar to a Kuhn Reiter. The Anyang power hammers are very similar to the old Bechet power hammers. So they're built very similar to the old Bechets. The Kuhn Reiter and the others are much lighter.
Okay.
So long story short, the Anyang is a better power hammer. So shots fired.
Why is it better?
No, because it's
I wanna get
heavier.
into this.
Heavier, the anvil is heavier and everything. Yeah.
I heard it the other way.
It's all cast iron, so the Anyangs are better than the Kuhn Reiter, and
it's all like melted bumpers and bed springs
and sheet metal around it, the Anyangs are solid machines, but they're coming all the way from China.
Yeah.
So
and
that's the drawback. Yeah.
But I was discussing with the guy and this Angel, the guy called Philip, and he was because I originally went to look for the 15 kilo because realistically all I would be using it is for drawing out small billets because I only work in small quantities, and he was trying to persuade me that it's too fast because it's too light, and then the noise would be worse than if I got a heavier one that was slower.
Yeah, the noise is not that bad with the heavier one. That's right.
Yeah.
So our light power hammers are louder than our big power hammers, but of course the vibrations are much worse with the heavier ones.
Yeah. And we're currently in the middle of rebuilding our house, and I have a 52 square meter workshop being built on the end of the house. So the workshop will be directly connected to the house.
Okay.
So it's I need something. I want something to save my arm and my back, but I also want my marriage to survive. So, I have a small press made by a guy in Denmark, and I've just placed an order for a rolling mill from Tobin for his July batch. So that pretty much squares me away. But from the rolling mills I've tried in Denmark, I need to find a way, because I really like twists, and I've been practicing making a lot of my own twists recently, but I'm only doing an inch by inch bar stock when it's drawn out, and then getting that out to a billet, because the rolls just make it longer. So I was considering, how do I get from that to make it wider? Do I go for crowned rollers, and will that force it out, or is the power hammer the only way to go for it? So that's the decision I'm trying to work out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get a whole lot of width on the rolling mill, right? I mean, you can put it in a little bit crooked, but it doesn't help a lot.
No, not really. No, you would have to use a press or a power hammer.
Yeah.
The power hammer, I think, would be easier than a press.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, power hammer is way more fun.
Yeah, sure.
Than a press. I mean,
yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
That's why you have 7 of them, right?
No, 5. But we're selling one. That's why I'm asking, Alex. But we can talk about this in Solingen then.
Yep.
So we don't have to bore our listeners.
No, exactly. Some of them like the power hammer talk, I'm sure. At least one of them.
Yeah, because we're selling I think it's a 30 or a 50 kilogram power hammer.
Okay. Then I'll bring more cash to Solingen.
No. let's first talk about it. Yeah. So when did you start making knives? Because I saw on your Instagram that your first post is like 244 weeks old. So that's, what's that, 5 years?
Yeah. The first post was probably, I have to think now. That was when we moved into our second house in Denmark. So I'd been making them for about 2 years before that, just drawing and sketching and stock removing and ruining a lot of stock and learning how to grind. But the first knife that I actually gave someone was probably 2019, the end of 2019, so just coming up to 5 years. So it feels only like last year that I started, but yeah, I guess 5 years I've been making knives that I feel is sufficiently good enough to give to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still at the stage where I'm not entirely sure that I'm happy enough to sell them, but
So you just want to give knives away?
Yeah, do you need my address?
I was just going to tell you, man.
Just bring some to Solingen. We're happy to take them.
Yeah, I have so many knives lying around. It's quite concerning, because I make it for the love of making it, not necessarily because someone will buy it or someone is ordering it. And I have, in the kitchen, I probably have 20 knives in the kitchen in one state or another of a new grind, a new shape, or a new design, a new handle, and they get used and abused for 6 months, and then I think, okay, that one I'm happy. If someone would want to buy, then I'm happy with that design, or I scrap them. And it's very amusing to go to the recycling center with a box of knives and just throw them into the metal section, and watch the bit, because I'm not sure what it's like in other countries, but in Denmark there is a very strict rule of you put and you cannot take. So you throw a box of kitchen knives, look like custom-made kitchen knives, into the metal bin, and watch people at work that are working there going, "Oh, we won't cover those over just yet, and we'll just wait." Yeah. So I think I've sold 50 knives or so, but most of them I give as gifts, or friends ask me if I will make them one, and then I never charge them. And it's not.
I think that's really tough in the beginning when you start getting like knives backed up like that. Then you kind of wonder like, what are you gonna do with them? Is it working out? Is this? I mean,
yeah.
At this point, a lot of knife makers don't even. I think I have one of my own in the kitchen that was like a test knife.
I'm looking at one of your knives right now, and I just want to know if you still have that one.
I'm doing the same.
Oh my God! You better not be watching the same one as I'm watching.
No, I'm watching it. I want an outdoor knife.
This is the VG10 cord 67 layer steel from Barmont Special Steels.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which one that is?
I use a lot of the 67 layer. It's very nice to
have
work
it
with.
Named. It's with the beautiful stabilized Vesticola and mosaic pin from UK.
Oh yeah,
knife maker supplies.
Yeah, the I will kind of core it the Nikiri shaped one.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that was given as a gift to someone for their birthday, for their 60th birthday.
It's I love it.
Yeah, it was very nice handle material to use. I never tried it before, and then I got some from Toby and thought, that seems to actually work nicely. And then I got 3 different people, and it was a lady from work. 3 different people then asking me to make them knives with the same handle.
Mm. So you're saying that you actually got something useful out of Toby?
Yeah, it took a while. It took 3 or 4 years. But I've been buying stuff from Toby even when he was in Australia. Like I bought some of his handle material and his coffee beans and stabilized coffee bean handles from when he was in Australia. And then, so that was a long time ago. But he has some good stuff. But honestly, it's buying from him at the moment is a bit of a nightmare after Brexit, because you get hammered with the import charges in Denmark to get anything in. So previously it was always GFS from the UK and then Toby and a guy at Barmont was my big knife steel supplier. But honestly now the Danish post, and I know you like to complain about the post systems, but the Danish post system, they stop everything as soon as it's come from outside of mainland Europe, and then they give you 150 crowns postage like handling charge for them to send you an email on anything. It doesn't matter if it's a 20 euro bar of whatever. They'll give you 150 crowns, which is 20 euros handling fee, and then they will pay import tax of 25%, and then VAT on top, and it just gets hammered. So ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it's not.
But so I'm happy that you guys are in Europe.
Yeah.
So, but it's
you were. I think you were the first one I sent out a box of fire bricks, right?
Yeah, I bought the fire bricks from you.
You were the one that I tested it on, like the new shipping method, and it went perfectly.
It was. I was actually surprised.
Yeah, me too. But let me. That was the only one that went right. After that was a fucking nightmare. It was just terrible.
I was honestly surprised that they survived, because
I was very happy.
We have cameras on the house, and we get notifications when someone comes to the door. And I saw the DHL driver walking up the drive carrying both boxes, one in each hand, like just barely holding onto the straps. He then dropped them on the floor to ring the doorbell. My son was at home, but he was at home sick, and we have a rule that he's not allowed to open the front door if he's on his own. And so the driver tried to talk to him and asked for a signature. My son said, "No, I'm not opening the door." And then he picked them up, and I saw him throw them in the van. So I was surprised they were all in one piece.
My God,
he wasn't happy.
If those packages could talk, man, they go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but actually, the worst ones I've had arrive to me are from. There's a knife supply company in Finland called Brisa.
Mm-hmm.
The packages I get from them look like they've been kicked from Finland. It's insane.
Yeah, they use it as like a football.
Yeah, and they always pack them very nicely, but you get these DHL sort of shipper boxes, I guess, and they look like they've been stamped on the entire way here.
It's just ridiculous. And like in my previous job, I was next to a company that was used, I don't know, it's like some storage stuff, and they used that for like rearranging the backside of the vans. Like the packages, put them in the right order, and oh my God, the way they handle those they would just fucking open the big doors and just throw everything on the street and then rearrange everything and throw it back in the van. And I was like, oh my God, there's like my packages are in there as well.
There was some
just terrible
secret footage of actually GLS in Denmark maybe 2 years ago, where they would back two vans up to each other and they were just launching packages from one into the other. Just two guys of like full welly giving in the packages, and you could hear them hitting the back of the headboard in the van, of the second van. Like, so they're quick, but then the care isn't there sometimes.
So yeah, the shipment to you with the fire bricks was great, and then the next 5 they all had to resend like an entire box, and it's almost up to a point where my the supplier, which I made a deal with, I think he's on the verge of saying "fuck you" and your business. We don't want it anymore.
No, there can't be that much profit in it for them if they haven't.
No, I just know for a fact that they're not making money on this at all.
Well, I'm very happy to have them, because getting them the right size in Denmark would have required me buying them oversized and then cutting them down. So
yeah, it's man, that's something I don't like at all, and it's such a disadvantage to America. Like in comparison to the United States, because every country over here, like we have like a European Union, but we do everything like on our own way still.
Yeah.
Which like in general is good, I think, but for my business, it's not so good. Even with like valves and threading, and it's just a mess.
I've just been going through buying all the valves and things for the forge that I got from you.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, just going through and trying to say, okay, this has gone from 8 mil to 3/8 to 6 mil to a quarter, and you think the losses of flow is obscene if you want to think about it. But I'm like, nope, it's just going together and it'll be fine. I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah. It works though. It always works. It's an amazing design.
I hope so. I'm nearly finished. I need to make a stand for it. It was supposed to be this weekend, but I've been volunteered to do other things by my family. Yeah. Ho ho! It'll get in the list somewhere. But I actually went through the box. I can't remember what I was pulling out. Something out of the box of the forge, and I found that you sent me a lovely tub of pelican paste in there. So I've been using it and abusing it the last week, and the whole house stinks of this stuff now.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Because I've used the American version with the wood cutting instrument name. And that's all.
You can say the name. We're just going to bash him like on the show every time.
Well, I bought some... I can't even remember where. Somewhere in the US. Maybe I got it from Pops when I was getting some rivets and kydex. And I've enjoyed using it, but trying to get hold of it again seems quite tricky. So I'm happy that you can supply this stuff, and I'm looking forward to the shop hands if you get it in.
Yeah, I have some. It's just getting it on my website was terrible, and now there's a thing going on where we're actually going to make it over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just have to send you a care package and without the website. And
okay, well that's good because I need to order some belts, so I'll send you that.
I'll throw some of that stuff in there.
Good times, because I was.
But we'll all be in Solingen in a week from now, won't we?
Of course.
Oh, a week and a half, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. I was trying to work out what bag to take with me, because I'm coming with one set of clothes, but I'm thinking I'm going to be going home with some stuff.
A big one.
You're gonna go at home to home with some pelican paste and belts.
And belts, yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of other things. I have a nasty habit of picking up and buying pocket knives, so
there's a new tool on the horizon from Keith and Albert. They should talk about it here.
Oh, I hope
because I have one and I love it.
But you mean the ox grip or the? Mm-hmm. We've talked about this last week.
Talk about it again. It needs it.
Okay. Yes, sir. We'll bring some to us to Solingen, but it's a dummy handle for grinding hidden tang blades. So you screw it on your tang because you have only very little material to hold on to the blade when you're grinding a hidden tang knife. But you'll see it in Solingen, so we'll bring some with us to Solingen. Yeah, but what I wanted to ask you, how did you get into knife making? So what's the origin story? Alex?
How did it start? It started not as a bet, but as I can be reasonably tight sometimes, and I thought, I don't want to buy that knife, I think I can make that. So it started with a really stupid idea. And then from there, they just peeked over the edge of the rabbit hole and then just started to fall through it, to be honest. So I think it was a map gas heat treated some, what was it, ADCRV 2, stupidly thick, in a little tin can full of rape oil. Mm-hmm. And then noticed that I'd forgotten to drill holes in the tank for the handle.
Oh shit!
So then I learned about flame, blue backing, but for the entire handle, so I could put some holes in it. Mm-hmm. And I actually still have that knife. It's out by the wood pile. I use it for splitting kindling because it's 8 mil thick, so I can just baton it through anything. And it was a long weekend of a bad decision, and then the week after I was making my own kiln because why not? Mm-hmm. And then from there it's just slowly been one knife after another. For a long time I only made things with ADCRV2 because it was stable and easy. Mm-hmm. And then when I started getting into stainless knives, making actually it was some, I won't call them hunters, social people that go out and shoot and miss things in Denmark asked. I was working with one of the guys in their club, the Treasure, and he wanted some hunting knives or skinning knives for their AGM, their annual meeting, to give new hunters that had just got their license. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, that's fine. I can do this and do this. And he was like, but they have to be stainless. I'm like, okay, that changes everything quite some. And I haven't really stopped making stainless since then because most people that I give a knife to, it's so much easier to give them stainless.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with a fact sheet.
It just involves around giving away stuff.
Yeah. But
Great.
But the knives have always just been on the back burner of... I've always had a little workshop, so it's always been a case of... I'll go out there for some hours, some days a week, and just keep my head down and do it. And then it's just been there of something to do in the evenings.
What was the stainless steel you started out with?
The Sandvik 13C 26N? Or, no, the lower version of the 14C 28.
12C 27 or
one.
something. Yeah.
But now most of the stainless I use is the Sandvik, or not Sandvik anymore. They've rebranded, but the 14C
28N.
I had some people request some odd stainlesses, which I like to be good at one steel, so I've kind of shied away from other ones. I did do some outdoor skinning knives in RWL, but it was suggested to me that it would be better with cryo, and I tried to find a company to sell a private individual liquid nitrogen in Denmark. Was a colossal pain, so I very quickly knocked that on my head and said, I'll just stick with simple stainlesses.
I mean, almost all stainless steels benefit from a cryo treatment. Also, Sandvik 14C28N.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use liquid nitrogen. You can also use dry ice.
Yeah, dry ice and alcohol.
Yeah, and almost the same effect.
Most of them I just stick in the freezer now. The home freezer.
Yeah, it also helps. Yeah.
But I have to ask you, Matt, actually, does your friction folder from Fader, has he bronzed half of your handle?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Then I'm not special.
You thought he did it just for you. Okay, I'll one up you there. Did he send you a Jeff Fader hat with it?
Yes.
Shit.
My second one. Did he send you an offset serrated bread knife?
No, you didn't send it with it. You just bought it.
Well, yeah, but he sent it.
Yeah, of course. Damn it.
I've been eyeing up one of his offsets forever and his turnstile folders, and I was like, oh. Then he quickly said he was only making 4, because for a long time he said he wasn't ever going to sell them.
Yeah, he literally said I'm never going to make them again, and then everybody wanted one, which is just smart marketing from his side.
Yeah, but by God, it's huge.
It is ginormous.
It's
Keith.
more...
Keith, did I take it to?
Yeah, I got to see it.
Yeah, I did.
Show.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of figured that already with the coin as the pivot.
Did you like how big it was?
But I did like it though, yeah.
What did you think about the folder?
For me, you mean?
No,
Keith.
Fucking didn't get my joke, dumbass.
Oh. Is it that big?
No, it's actually not. That's my wife.
Oh. But when I put it next to my other pocket knives I have, it looks
it's huge,
monstrous. Yeah.
Yep.
But I do like the way he's made it so tight that it's not accidentally gonna stab me in the leg. So it's...
I've had it in my shop when it gets really cold, and you put it in your pocket, and it gets nice and warm. It'll actually change how tight it is.
It loosens up because of the tolerance on the spaces.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Let's not talk about Fader anymore. He's not listening to this podcast, so fuck him.
Oh, Fader?
Nope.
Oh, he's too busy.
Too busy.
Just saw he made another chef knife collaboration with some famous chef guy.
Yeah, all those famous New Yorker chefs, food truck guys and stuff.
Hats off. He's a hard-working chap.
I like his magic reels.
Yeah, his reels are awesome.
Oh my god, yeah.
Even the new ones just talking like normal.
Yeah. It's he's onto something.
You don't do any reels. Do you ever do reels, Matt?
I did, but my social media is like presence went from a little to slim, like to none.
Do you have Instagram, Matt?
No, shut your butthole. I do. Eventually, I'll get to using it again.
But do you just use it mainly for chatting to people?
Yeah, basically, I used to post like not a lot, but more. But I've just been like, whenever I'm in the shop, I really need to get shit done, and then like making reels is not on my list of things to do.
My thought about all of the Instagram is, if it's adding value to what I'm doing, then great. But if it's just for, I'm not showing off, but just for attention, then I can't be bothered with it. It's
I always look for the things, like whenever like Baker Forge or Housemaid or whatever, like Pelican Paste is onto something, and I'm like, that could work over here. I'm just directly like on it. So that's why that's what I do on Instagram the most.
But that's extending your business, so that makes sense.
Yeah, you're doing it for research purposes then.
Oh, yeah, I'll just keeping an eye on things.
Mm.
It's nice occasionally, but I feel if I don't keep an eye on it, I spend hours on it, or tens of hours a week.
Man, especially with those reels, and then you get out to all the fuckery and all the useless reels. Like once in a while, I'll just have to like go through the list of things I follow. And I just have to like remove a shit ton of those, because all the suggested reels and stuff, that turns south very fast.
Yeah, you just get ass and titties on you, right?
Yeah, and then you get more ass and titties because you've been watching ass and titties all day, So it's fuckery. Then I'll just stick to watching like science and knife making and stuff like that, like constantly, and then it'll like change my algorithm back to decent stuff.
I was going to say that I spend most of the things I look at on Instagram, I prefer to look at the pictures rather than the reels. I think I'm too old-fashioned for Instagram now.
I'm totally onto the reels thing. I only watch reels. I hardly ever watch what anyone posts, if they post pictures.
Yeah, but I like really well-made photos of knives. Like there's a guy in Holland called RD Knives, and he's just had some professional photos made by another Dutch guy, and they just look amazing. It's just like catalog sale pictures. And that's the reason I look at Instagram, to say, wow, maybe one day mine will look like that.
Never
you know RD Knives?
Nope.
No,
okay.
I never heard of him
either. Stop.
Yeah, but those pictures are crazy. Knives are hard to take pictures of. I mean, I have like handle material in purple is horrible. You take a picture of something purple, it looks blue, or you get crazy colors. It's really hard to get pictures of those in knife blades also when they reflect light and stuff.
Yeah, I went to the extent of buying a photo tent, like a large one.
I got one too, but I still can't get rid of the glare.
The glare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought one that had a top screen in the middle with like a hidden hole, so you can shoot from right at the top, but it reflects the white screen.
Yeah, mine has that too, but I never tried it. Does that help from the taking it through the little like peeky hole thing on the top?
Yeah, I'd take it from the top, and I set the camera up on a tripod leaning over, so it's a stationary like SLR if I'm taking pictures of knives from above. And it seems much better and much more usable, but just putting the board at a small angle so you're not getting 100% reflection of the top is... Yeah. But I've taken a lot of advice from Sam Dunn in Dunn Blades work. He takes amazing pictures of his knives. And you ask him, and he's like, oh, I just put them on the kitchen counter by the window and take a picture with my phone. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't spend an hour trying to get a picture.
There's a lot of people that do that. like just take a picture. They have a spot that they always take pictures at, and out on the grass or out in the field or behind the shop or something. And as long as it's not a super shiny, sunny day, then they work out great for some reason. I just can't find that spot.
Yeah, I think consistency is also very good.
Yeah, the good one for that is B-Cone, I think, who's always by the river. As soon as I see a picture by the river, I know it's him. It doesn't matter what the knife is.
Yeah, I think consistency is key in that.
Albert, do you take your own pictures?
Yes, I do.
And
I have one of these photo boxes, but a self-made one, a hillbilly style photo box.
Nice.
I'd
like to see that setup.
No, you don't. Trust me. I used an old cardboard box and I used aluminium foil to make the walls reflective, and I put in 2 very bright lights and and some white paper, and I cut the hole in the top. So that's how I take my pictures.
The aluminum foil doesn't just make everything even more reflective on the
No,
blade?
it makes it brighter, so it reflects the light
evenly everywhere. Then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the one you took earlier this year of the K-tip, the mosaic K-tip Giotto on the dark background, that wasn't in a box, right?
No, that's Photoshop.
Oh.
To tell you a secret, right there.
Okay.
Well, that's not even what the knife looks like.
No, no. I took a picture of the knife in the photo box and I photoshopped the background.
Oh, I feel so cheated.
Yeah, I know. Only lies on Instagram and on the internet.
All fake. It's all fake.
No, it's not fake. The knife exists, obviously.
Does it?
The background. No, it does, yeah.
I need to fact check this.
Yeah. Let me send it to you.
I've seen that one.
That would be a great fact check.
It's a gift, Matt, for you.
It would be a great fact check.
Yeah, I know.
So your new tool, the Scramfer, when's that coming out?
I had it at the knife show in.
Matt stole it.
Matt's got one. Yeah, Albert's got one. And let's see, I have a show this weekend in Eisenetz, and then Solingen. And after the shows, whatever's left, I'll put online. I mean, I think I have enough to make another 60 pairs or something like that.
I really believe everyone needs one of those. I think it's amazing.
How small can it go down? Is it a proper fine point on the chamfer?
If you watch it too long, it'll stab you in the.
Yeah,
it's sharpest.
I had the price tag on the table, and I would say more than half the people that came to my table thought it was a self-defense tool. I'm like, no, this is a scribe tool. You're not supposed to stab people. But I mean, I guess
there's a very pointy point on it. Very pointy.
You can mark it as a window breaker at the same time for your car.
Yeah. Don't drop that thing.
I don't know if you've tried it yet, but if you have like a full tang knife, which you don't make very often, but for marking like G10 and stuff like that, it works awesome.
I've used it on the Klingen für Gutes, the charity knife.
Yeah.
That's a hidden tang knife, obviously, but I've been scribing all the lines because I did we call it fancy handle, which is like a Coke bottle shaped handle with facets. And I did all the marking with the pen, with the Scramfer tool. Yeah. Works great. Did you sell any in the Netherlands at the show?
No, I gave one to Matt.
Okay.
I didn't sell any. But like I said, a lot of people check it out, looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it just needs more exposure.
Yep.
Like more talking about it, more posting about it, more everything about it, because that thing really needs to be sold.
I'll get my guy on that. Do some social media work.
Yep.
So, Albert, have you found a new workshop yet?
No.
What's the time scale on?
We're still shop hunting.
Oh.
We want to be out by July, so we have 2 more months.
You want to be or you have to be?
We might, but we want to be out by July. Yeah, which is going to be stressful 2 months now.
Yeah, you need 2 months to pack your shop up.
Yeah, and to set up the new shop first.
And pour foundations.
Yeah, because we have classes like every other week. We have a forging class, so
you'll have to get an induction forge and do like a special induction forge class.
Yeah, I want an induction forge so bad, but they're so expensive.
It's like $7,000, right?
Yeah, I mean it depends on where you get it from, but if you get it from China, maybe $4,000 or something. But still,
with the cooler and everything.
I have to talk to Tobias about this, but they're super expensive. Especially for a Chinese machine, if something breaks, you might be screwed. So, because I have no idea how to fix an induction forge. It's way easier to fix a normal forge.
No, it's actually pretty. You could take it to a shop that you would also take your welder to.
Okay. You think they can fix it?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
I know that they used like a version of it in the auto industry for a long time. It had like a wand that you could put onto like rusted bolts. And stuff.
I wouldn't say like it's the same as a welder, but I think it's pretty similar to a welder.
Okay. Hey, talking about welding, Matt.
Oh Lord.
You weren't here last week, but Bernhard said, the guy from Equilibrium Blade Works, said that there is some talk online that if you TIG weld the sides on a Damascus billet, that they might pop open during forging. What do you have to say about this?
It
as
could
a professional
happen.
Really? Why?
Because if you don't, especially when steel, if you don't use filler, like on carbon steel, like with stainless, is not going to be a problem. But if you use, it could. But then, I mean, just no offense, but you'd be shitty at it, because if you look at it, you know it's either going to do it or not.
But if the welds are crack free, if it's good welds,
then it wouldn't. It's not going to happen.
Okay, that's what I said. Yeah,
but yeah, because okay. For example, when I just tack stainless steel together with no filler, it still has some stretch in it. You could still move the part just a tiny bit, and it won't break. The tack will just it'll hold. But with steel, there's nothing. There's no movement. If you move it once, it'll crack.
Yeah, but everything's moving at the same expansion rate if you don't use filler, right? So the welds and the steel.
Yeah, like I said, if the weld is good, then it's not going to happen. But that's just the difference between steel and like with stainless steel.
That's what I meant. Yeah, now I get it.
And so whenever something moves and then the other thing doesn't, then you're like it can crack. But like there's there's a lack of fusion if it happens.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So that would just happen in the oven with one section of the steel heating up more than the other, and it puts pressure on the weld. You're saying, and then it pops.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you start forge welding and forging out the billet, the whole billet has to be at roughly the same temperature.
That's why I don't understand, because even like if it's at that temperature, the likelihood of that happening is not big.
Okay.
Because when it's at that temperature, it's also more, how do I say that? Flexible, I think. It could take like a wiggle. It's only when it's like cooled down, then you're gonna.
Sure.
Then you're gonna have problems. But I would suggest like TIG welding it like on the corners, like on the corners. That's gonna keep everything together. No, like always, because. Those corners, they just melt down into the puddle, basically. And, those cracks, those tacks won't give in my opinion. So if it happens, it's because you don't do it very well.
That's what I thought, because I was kind of surprised to hear that, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's like basically knife makers are not welders, so like the safe way is to use MIG and with filler, because it can take, you can be less of a welder and it'll still work.
Mm-hmm.
And with TIG welding, it you just need to know what you're dealing with more, especially when you're not using filler.
Yeah, but with TIG welding, you don't get any other kind of material into your billet if you're not using filler,
which is good.
Which is good and which is very desirable, and you can weld it completely shut, so you make basically an oxygen-free environment inside the Damascus billet. And that's what I wanted to say. I was kind of surprised to hear that, because we've made hundreds of Damascus billets with this method.
But you weld them like completely shut?
Completely shut.
There's no way that's going to give in.
Yeah, and
no way.
Not one popped open.
Yeah, there's no way.
Okay, good. That's what I thought too. I mean, my reasoning was forge welding temperature is much lower than welding temperature. So why would this affect proper weld seams? I mean, right?
I don't see it happening. From my opinion.
Yeah, thought so too. Thanks.
Yeah, well,
that's what I wanted to hear.
I finally added some value.
Yeah,
yay!
We've all been waiting for this very moment.
Yay.
Tip of the day.
Super. Cool.
I have a question for you then, Albert. When you're talking about an oxygen-free environment in your billets, do you know the theory of why when you make... Have you made canister before?
No.
Okay.
We've used sheet metal to before we started with the TIG welding thing. But what's with canister? But I know how canister Damascus works.
Because when I've read some older books on canister from the 90s or 80s and 90s, some of them reference putting a hole in one of the ends.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the theory behind that is? Because normal plate billet or like flat billets we seal, or some people seal. Why would you leave it open if you're using a powder inside in the canister?
Maybe because of different expansion rates. Maybe the stuff inside the canister expands more than the canister itself. And that's why you have to, in order to prevent explosion or something. But I don't know.
Oh.
Do you know why?
I have no idea. I've seen it referenced a few times, and it's on my list of things to try when I finally get to make some squaring dies for my press. And I have the same caution in my head of, is it an explosion risk prevention?
So can you ask that question one more time? I'm sorry, I had to check because someone thought there was a fuse that went out. Can you re-ask the question, because I think I know the answer.
Okay. But when you make a canister Damascus or canister steel, so you take a piece of pipe generally and you have a cap on one end, you fill it with whatever you want, ball bearings or whatever, and you fill with powder generally. And then normally you would put a cap on and then weld it shut. But I've seen reference in some books that they are putting a small 2mm hole in the end of your sealing last before you put it in the forge. I was wondering if anyone knew why they would do that, because it doesn't explain it. It just says do it.
Yeah, it is for pressure. If you have pressure building up inside, it can crack somewhere where you don't want it. And if you just use that 2mm hole, it can like release.
But why would you get it in a canister and not in a full sealed, like a plate steel stack?
Full seal. Billet? If you get like pressure buildup and the material gets soft, it could potentially, like for example, when we're welding something like a square tube between two like solid plates, for example.
Yeah.
If the air inside heats up, it'll expand. So when you're welding, it's liquefied where you're welding, and like always on the last part. So when it's completely, you welded around all the rest, and when you're at the last part, it'll blow the air out through the puddle, and it'll just explode like on that, on there, because the air has nowhere to go.
Has to escape.
And what you do is you just leave, like on the first weld you're doing, you just leave basically like a 2mm hole, and you just weld all around everything, let it cool down, and then
you feel that.
you fill that last tiny bit. So it'll close before it has the chance to heat up the air that's inside.
So the first one I try, I'll put a hole in. And just in case.
I really don't know if it's like, because with welding, it's like liquid. And with canister, how would you call it? Forge welding, it's not. It's like in dough. How would you call that? I don't know the English for it, but it's not liquid.
You're still compressing a stack of steel that has an air pocket in, I guess.
Yeah, it has an air pocket, and I think the reasoning behind it is we rather have like a tiny hole in it where we know the air goes out there. Yeah. So it doesn't happen somewhere else.
So it's an explosion prevention.
I think so. Yeah, basically, but not explosion as in it's like dangerous for anyone.
Yeah, sure,
but like if it happens on a place where you don't want it, and
controlled pressure relief.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
And if you're using powder and that hole's too big, it's going to be like a sparkler going off.
Yeah, that was my consideration of what would happen. But
what makes it more fun?
Oh yeah, I'd do it at bonfire night.
Better for TV.
But Alex, where do you get your steel powder from? Because we've been wanting to make canister Damascus for ages, but we couldn't get the steel powder.
I bought it from Toby.
Angele has it.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Keith has it
from the UK.
Yeah,
no, I don't have it, but I've seen it.
Keith doesn't have it.
I thought it was Angele.
No, I bought 4 tins from Toby, some 15N20 powder and a normal carbon steel powder, 1080 or 1075 or. And it's been sitting on my shelf looking at me, but I've just managed to find some nickel-plated 1080 ball bearings, which I think will make a funky pattern.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, I was sitting trying to plate my own, but with limited success. So I'm hoping that will be the first one to try, because there's I can't remember for the life of me his name, a South African maker that does something called it's a dragon skin Damascus.
Yeah. I have a piece of his steel.
Yeah, which looks amazing, but he's been doing it for so long and it's all his process and he's very closed doors on it. So I'm thinking, well, I'll give it a try, how hard can it be kind of thing. But I'm imagining it's very
figure
hard.
That pattern out. I think now that you mentioned it, that's probably how it's done.
Yeah, because I looked at doing it with small cylinders as well, getting 1080 or a high carbon steel in a wire form, so 3 or 4 mil, and then cutting it into small cylinders and then plating those to give you the different geometry when you roll it out or stretch it out. Yeah. So it's not just a sphere that you're flattening.
Roller barons or something.
Yeah, but just really, really small. And then them still being good steel, so if they do go to the edge, you're comfortable with them being there. But I'll probably just use it as a outer layer anyway, just for prettiness sake.
I can't remember this guy's name, but Albert, I'm sure you've seen this steel before.
Yeah, and it always has like a purple hue to it when you see it.
Yeah.
Like he tempers it or changes it for when he puts the pictures up of it. But I've seen
like a special etching process for that.
Yeah, and I've seen Niels Vanderberg use it on some of his daggers, and it looks sensational when it's used. But it's excessive for a kitchen knife, just for cladding, but...
Yeah, I think I bought mine like 5 years ago. Like, I'm going to make a folding knife, and when I figure it out, then I'm going to use this piece of steel. I still got the bar.
That makes sense. That's why I keep all my offcuts, just in case I get the edge to make folders. So, but I think I'll leave that to people that actually know what they're doing.
Actually, I'd want to finish I've got like 5 or 6 more knives to go, and then I want to like stop and go back into trying to work on my folders. I got a pile of them that are like all half finished. Got the locks down on some, and then the blade was screwed up on other ones, and I want to get back into trying to figure it out.
Do you have a mill in your workshop?
I have a tabletop mini mill and a lathe.
That'll be one of the first bigger purchases for the new workshop. Will be an actual mill, because I have an old English lathe which is underpowered, but it does everything I need. But I miss a mill. I don't need it to be CNC or anything special. Just a larger working area. I have one of these tiny little mini mills for making slotted like bolsters and things, but a nice powerful mill with a good sized collet on would be so nice.
They work pretty good for most of the stuff that we need, but if you want accuracy, either takes forever because you got to make such small cuts, and you gotta tighten the table up and tighten everything way up, or else you get too much chatter in that.
Yeah, see, I would spend more time doing the setup than I would ever do producing parts.
Yeah.
So, but I've just seen there's a Danish maker over here he does a lot of 3D printing, kind of bolsters and parts, and then he's doing a lot of lost wax casting of them in bronze. So he makes them exactly as he wants, and then just casts them, and then he's bought some kind of small tabletop CNC mill for doing the handles to receive the caps, and it looks very, very neat. But I hate to think how many hundreds of hours he's put into it now.
Yeah, that's what I always think with the folder guys.
But there's a sensational folder maker in Denmark who's called Ansu, and he's always very nice to talk to and discuss things, and he's definitely of the opinion of like, if you start, you can't stop. So just be careful.
Don't get into that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I think he started as an industrial designer, so his knives are amazing to look at, and they're all very highly coveted, but it's not there yet. Not enough time.
So do you carry a pocket knife?
Yeah.
All the time? Or
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you carry?
If I'm working, Denmark has these silly laws, like you can't have there's no assisted openings. It all has to be two-handed openings. Nothing can be locked. With the kind of like Austria, I guess, if you're going hunting, you're allowed a 4-inch blade for a purpose, and you can't be on your person. It has to be in the car. Blah, blah, blah. But for generally speaking, I carry a Leatherman for like a work knife, and then if I'm going out, I have I don't even know what to class it as, a little folder made by Charlie Lionheart in the US.
Yeah.
One of his simple, like fold-over, simple folders, which I really like, and it won't get me in trouble if I'm stopped. Because it's only...
Like a friction folder, you mean?
I don't even know how to...
There's no lock?
No, there's no lock. It's a detent, so it has like a half-open position. But it's beautiful. It's got his...
It's called a friction folder then, right? Or no?
Yeah, I don't know enough about...
If it has... It's got a detent in...
Yeah.
Like a half open and a full open?
Yeah, and then it has a kind of a proper lock at the open position. It'll probably still get me in trouble. But it's one of his beautiful, fine, twist Damascus ones.
Who's making that noise?
No, sorry, that's me playing with a knife.
You're pissing Albert off.
Sorry, Albert.
That's all right.
It's a nice noise for a knife maker.
Knife making podcast, yeah, I agree.
It's alright, I get people annoyed at me at work when I'm doing it whilst I'm on like long conference calls, sitting in the office. Because I have a really, really nice folder that I actually won in a raffle this year from a nice folder maker in the US, but it's too nice to ever take anywhere. So it sits in my work desk, and I play with it during the day, and it annoys the hell out of people. But it's sad, terrible that I can't remember the maker's name. John Doyle in the US, I think. It's one of his very, very pretty knives that, yeah, he raffled and I won, and then it cost me insane fortune to get into Denmark.
Shipping in.
Yeah, and that was his
customs.
Yeah, I really like folders, but I also like using them. And when you get a knife that's that nice, I think, yeah, if I drop that and it's got like stabilized koa on the handle and titanium and really nice Damascus blade, and I think it's some titanium pins, and it looks too nice to use, so I just keep it at work and annoy people with it.
Yeah, but that changes as you get into like collecting knives. In the beginning, you're like, oh, $80 for a knife, that's expensive, and you would like try to baby it, and
Yeah, now
then
you're
all
like,
of a sudden, now you walk around with
$1,600
like
for a knife.
$500,000 pocket knives and
Yeah.
scratching them up.
It's more than that, but it's
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
it's let's see if we can real time send a picture of it to Albert, because he's the one at the top of my contacts, because he actually responds to me, guys.
Oh, this is bad.
No. I just Albert always brings stuff up on the podcast that I'm either in the middle of doing or I'm thinking about doing, and it's quite uncanny. Like he was talking about buying a new pressure pot last week or the week before, and I just ordered the same one.
Nice.
So
you buy a lot of tools.
More than I tell my wife. I've told the children that if I die unexpected, or if I'm not murdered and I just die randomly, they are not allowed to sell them for the price I told my wife they cost. So there's a book. They have to look at the book. But no, I like doing a lot of the stuff myself, because it's not. There's no stress and there's no demand for my knives. If I want to find a piece of wood and I want to stabilize it, I have the stuff I need to stabilize, and I can waste or use a week or two stabilizing a piece of wood. But then again, if there's a piece of wood that I never get hold of, or it's someone asked for stabilized bog oak, which is awful to stabilize and dyes all the resin, I'll happily buy it from someone else and save myself the hassle. But it's I do buy a lot of tools, that's for sure, but I generally have at least one use for them. That's
good. I also like your approach on this. It's a very chill approach.
Well, I when was it? 18 months ago, 20 months ago, I was made redundant from my previous job, and I had 3 months paid. They called it gardening leave, so they paid me not to come to work, which was wonderful. And I considered about going full time, because I could easily up my output and I could easily sell more. And when I go, and I've been to little trade shows in Denmark or craft fairs, and I can sell them, there's no problem. But those 3 months were the most stressful time of going, oh, okay, I put some on the website and they sold, and then I put some pre-orders up for a little bit of kitchen knives, and then I sold 10 in a day, and I thought, oh god, now I actually have to sit and make them. And it just wasn't fun. And I do it for fun, I do it for a hobby, so I do my approach. 9 to 5 grind every week, so I can buy the tools if I want a tool, to make my life easier. That's the lucky situation I'm in. Some things I can't justify, and I'm sure I do want a power hammer, but if I can't get it in because of the noise or the size, or trying to convince the builder that he has to cut a hole in his brand new slab to pour a foundation for me, then there are local shops around here that I could pay a day rate and go and use their equipment. And I've kind of kept my own knife making as kind of my dirty little secret. Like, I've gone to blacksmithing courses and pretended to know nothing, because I feel I learn more when I'm taught like I'm an idiot. Like, I went to one that was a foundation, come and we'll make a pendant in half a day kind of thing. And I learned more about hammer control and how to hold a small hammer in that half day than I've learned in 4 other more serious courses. Because he talked to me like I was a moron. And he was like, well, why are you doing like that? Just like choke up on the hammer a bit. Why are you swinging it from that far out? And simple little things like that. And you meet some really interesting people because of it. And actually sold a knife to a guy that taught me a course. And I knew who he was. And then I delivered to him. And then he realized that I made knives. So it was really amusing, and he's the guy I would go back to and use his power hammers or other equipment that I don't have.
I think that's important when you take a class. Like, I've taken quite a few classes, to go and like not expect anything. Don't go there thinking I'm gonna go to this guy's shop and make the knife that I always make. You need to go there and listen to the person and learn their style and how they use their equipment, and maybe you learn to be more efficient that way, or just little tips and tricks that you pick up if you just forget about your own process, I guess.
I've been to a couple of courses that have been particularly uncomfortable because you have someone who has the arrogance,
they know everything.
The arrogance to say that's not right, and you're like, just go back to the YouTube comments, go and sit there. Yeah. This is just, you're here to learn. Just shut up.
Yeah, go be a dickhead on the internet. Don't come here.
But it's, I love learning and being taught new things in that kind of sense, and it was always what I wanted to do. Like when I was a kid at school, I always wanted to be a farrier for horses. So I've always had that desire to build stuff with my hands, and I was guided away from it by parents. But in the back of my head, it's like, I still like to make stuff, so why not go and learn from people that have been doing it for 20 years? I've learned a lot from YouTube and books, and finding old books is always interesting to read, specifically because a lot of the old-fashioned techniques, you notice there's like a fashion to them. They go in and out of fashion, and then people tweak them, and they'll come back with techniques and say, oh, well, we're doing it like this. Like, I found some really, really old, early written down things from Steve Swartzer. Like when he was doing canister Damascus in the 80s, early 90s. That's only just kind of coming back out now. Like, he was making stencils out of aluminium foil or stainless foil in canisters 30 years ago, and now people are going, oh, 3D print, you can make a template. And you're like, that's just the old-fashioned stuff updated. Yeah. And so many of these books are just like thrown in the dumpster or hidden in the back of shelves that nobody ever sees. But I struggle a little over here, though, because I'm an Englishman, so I don't really speak very much Danish very well. So some of the guys you really need to talk to don't speak particularly good English because they're in their 70s or 80s and they haven't got time for my shit. So the guys that sit by the forge when you're sitting at the class, and they've been there for the last 60 years, and they're just looking at you, shaking their heads, going, what are you doing? Why are you doing like that? And you try and talk to them, and they're like, nope, I'll just speak Danish to you. And you're like, oh, shit, okay. I'll come back.
Danish, but louder.
Yeah, you just have to shout a bit louder.
Then you understand. So how long have you been living in Denmark now?
Long enough I should speak Danish. 11 years now.
Okay.
So
you don't need it at work, really?
No, not at all. Ever since being here, I've worked for international companies. So I've worked for Siemens and a big Danish company called Novo Nordisk that makes drugs for diabetes and things. And and Denmark is so small that they have to work in English, otherwise they can't. There's not enough people in Denmark to keep businesses running, and they get so many people. They import talent from so many countries. If it's not in English, you can't compete, which is good and bad. But my wife's Danish, and she speaks Danish obviously the whole time, and so our kids are perfectly bilingual because I speak to them only in English, she only speaks to them in Danish, and that was always our agreement.
That's good.
That's the way we do it. I only speak English with the kids.
So now I know the kids ignore me in 2 languages, which is just perfect.
Yeah. And they can just pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
if they don't get what they want, then they ask in a different language.
Well, they just go and ask the other parent. Did the other one say no? Well, he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. So I'll ask you. Okay. But no, it's a nice country to be in. Most people are very open and welcoming, and I've spent hours. I found it's a farrier supply company. It's like 45 minutes from my house, and I went down there to buy some flux. And I went in and met like 2 really nice old blacksmiths. They're like, we're just 20 minutes down the road. Do you want to come down? And you're like, Christ, okay. And you go in and you think, oh, there is actually still functioning blacksmiths in Denmark.
They invite you to the shop?
Yeah. They like, we're just down the road, come down, and like, okay, do I bring anything? He said, well, there's like a 7-Eleven there, so get some beer. And I'm like, okay. Beer opens many doors in Denmark. Beer and schnapps gets you anywhere, pretty much.
Oh, they have schnapps over there too?
Yeah, Danish schnapps.
No.
It's dangerous stuff. It's very old-fashioned. Like, there's a definite cultural divide in snaps. As soon as you get to like 50, maybe younger than 45, people don't drink it very much. So
you should take some to Solingen.
Oh God, it's a dangerous stuff. But I've had some very nice evenings, I think, with it, but I can't remember.
Terrible mornings with it also.
Oh yeah. It reminds me very much of drinking absinthe when I was at university. The evenings were amazing, the mornings less so.
Gross. So gross.
You got to do that occasionally.
So do you have like a hotel booked in Solingen?
Yeah, I'm in the hotel next door.
Oh, nice.
So
me too.
I fly in on early Saturday morning, and then I have to walk around the trade show with my bag because the hotel's not open till 3:00. Then I'm flying home Sunday 6:00, I think, from Düsseldorf. So I have the whole of Sunday to meander around and buy stuff.
Oh, cool.
Do you have a table? Or?
No.
Put the bag at our table.
I'm just going as a guest. I'm not brave enough to take my knives down there. And it would take me a year to build up a table, I think.
There's some people that just put like 2 or 3 knives on a table.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to go for the social side of it and meeting people rather than.
Yeah, I get it.
And I know there's a really, really good like art knife guy going from Denmark called West Knives, Michael West, and he's an older chap, and I'm sure he's going, and he has insanely beautiful knives. But knowing me, I will go, and then I'll come back with some knives that I definitely don't need. but they're pretty. So after
lots of materials.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if I should bring some kind of what do you call it? The hard case with the foam in, like pelican case or something. Yeah. So to take a knife home. I'm not sure sticking it in a rucksack and sticking it in the hold is a good idea.
No, on an airplane, I don't think so either. You should ask Martin Huber.
Mentioned it before, but they have some stupid rules. If you buy a knife, they want you to have it packaged all up. There's going to be a packing table when you leave.
Okay.
So you can put paper on
that's
it.
That's smart.
I'll wrap all that stuff. And the cops smart. Checking randomly people walking around with knives.
What's the open? Is there a carry law in Germany for knives? Like, are you allowed to walk around with a pocket knife at the show?
It depends on the pocket knife. There is it's called Paragraph 42a. This is the law that...
Paragraph 42a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can I take my friction folder from Fader Knives?
Yes. Friction folder is legal. Every knife, every fixed blade that's longer than 12 centimeters is illegal, so it's not allowed to carry it. Any folding knife that can be opened with one hand and has a locking mechanism of some sort is also illegal. Okay. We're not allowed to carry it. So friction folder is legal, Swiss Army knives are legal. All the fixed blade shorter than 12 centimeters are legal. That's the law.
But any locking pocket knife is illegal. Doesn't matter the size.
Any locking pocket knife that you can open with one hand. That's the rule. So one-handed opening and locking is illegal no matter the blade size or blade length.
So I think I've discovered where Denmark got its legislation from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar from the way you were describing the Danish laws. Reminded me a lot about the German law.
I think it's the same here too.
See, I had not a warning, but I went to a little craft fair in the same village where I live, and I had the whole table of knives with me, and I took them in the car, packaged in a box. And walking from the car park, I got stopped by 3 people going, "What's in the box?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just knives." Have you got a license to take those in public? It's like, from the car to the building? They're like, "Yeah, you need a license for that." I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know," and then put them back in the car. And
these were regular people, right? Or they're just trying to get some money off you?
No, they were people that were organizing the show, the craft show. So
ridiculous.
The lady that I had bought or paid the table for and agreed that I would come, and it was they were very excited to have knives in instead of just pottery and paintings and glassware. And then she gave me shit about it. It's like, how would you like me to bring them? And she's like, "Well, I don't know, but that's your problem." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
It's nice to tell you beforehand.
Yeah, but maybe she expected me to have a little more clue. But hey, she went off to the other building, so I just brought them in.
But just tell them to look in another direction and just walk past her.
I mean, I know they have to say it, but
yeah,
don't.
But the fear on their face when and it was not an open show, but people bought tickets to go in to this little craft fair thing, but the tables were spread around and people could walk both sides of the table. It was really odd. And they were like, you can't leave the table at any point during the day. Like, well, I'm not going to leave a table full of knives where people can take them. They're like, no, you cannot. And I was like, well, my son is here. Yeah, but he can't stay. I was like, well, okay, where do I pee then? And they're like, well, you have to get another adult to come and sit at your table. And I'm like, oh, God, there's so much effort for just showing a few knives at a little village fair kind of thing. Yeah. So, but I like fairs, or like little shows, but I prefer just to go to talk to people, make contacts, find someone.
Yeah, the social part.
Yeah. And just see what other people are doing. Because I try not to look at other people's knives in a kind of, in commas, inspirational way. When you see people say, I made this knife that looks exactly like yours, but because I was inspired, I try and avoid that. I got in a big discussion when I first started making knives, and I first went onto Instagram, where I made a knife that I sat at our summer house at the beach, drawing the knife on a sketch pad, then went with my son, and then went home and made it, and then we put a picture up, and some guy pretty much abused me in written form, threatening me with his lawyer and his trademark for me copying his knife, and he could see that I'd seen his post and I'd liked his post, so obviously I'd copied his knife.
That's so...
And I just went, well, I guess I did see it and I copied it, but I can send you the 5 pages of sketches. And he said, no, but if you do it again, I will take you to court and at me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And that really put me off looking at knife makers for like a reasonable while after, because you take things in without really thinking, and then you're sitting with a sketch pad, you're thinking, oh, that's a nice feature, or that choil there looks nice, or you put a clip point on something and everyone blames you or shouts at you for ripping off Jason Knight, it's just a sharp, pointy object. There's like nothing's new. So it's hard sometimes to go to shows and then take things in without thinking, and then later put them on a knife.
Everyone that claims a design and acts like that should shut the fuck up.
He is a really big knife maker. He makes a lot of knives.
I don't care. I really don't care. I'd like, just shut the fuck up.
And it was like a one-off little knife for...
Is there even a knife design left that you can claim as your own? Come on.
I think proving it would be very difficult.
Friction folder.
Yeah.
What? So someone makes like a folder that looks like it, and then like, what are you gonna do? Come on.
Yeah, I think if
anything, if someone is inspired by your design, just take pride in it and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like when it comes to like folders or like new mechanisms, then I think if you start copying someone's mechanism, then maybe they have a point to tell you to back off.
Yeah.
Like if what is his name? There's a guy from Tasmania who also used to do a podcast. Is it Valhalla Ironworks? He's just made folding Bowie knives with a guard that folds. And stuff like that I think is amazing to look at. But, as soon as someone else does it, it's because they've seen his.
Yeah, but is that bad?
I don't know, but some people get really upset about it.
That just means you made it. Somebody's copying you, then you made it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Means you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I'm not there. And honestly, I don't care if someone makes it the same shape as mine. So, it's not going to be the same knife. So, it's not going to be heat treated like me. So, when are you guys arriving at Solling? You get there on the Friday, I guess, to set up?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be there Friday, I think from 3 to 6. You can set up. And we got a lot of stuff, so I'm going to try to get as much as I can done Friday.
Yeah.
Then it makes Saturday a lot less stressful because all the other knife makers show up and then people want to talk to you and time goes by quick.
Yeah. And I think I've asked Albert before, but how do you process payments there? Is it all cash or do you take it like a point of sale device or?
The last few years I've done only cash. Albert has a credit card machine that we haven't tried out. I'm just not sure how stable the internet is there.
Yeah.
No, we used it last year.
Oh, you did?
It worked. But cash is always preferred. It shows.
Yeah, coming from being in Denmark, it's nearly a cashless culture over here now. Everyone has a mobile phone app which was originally made by one of the banks, which is just like cash. You just transfer it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is contactless or mobile pay. You get an odd look if you go to a supermarket with cash now. They're like, where did you get that? Did you pay tax on that?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you have a tax ID number and stuff and they're official, it gets a little more difficult to do stuff like that, so you just got to be careful.
I did that for 2 years over here. I registered my little company, and every year, just for the tax side of it, and then being able to order things without VAT and so on. And then it's just so much work, and it's just not worth it over here. And especially when you order stuff from, say, the Netherlands. There was a point after Brexit where you could order from Ground Flat Stock, and they were shipping out of a warehouse in the Netherlands tax-free. So, or they were shipping at Dutch tax level, which is 19% or so. And then I had my VAT or my tax number, and then I was ordering for them, and then without even thinking, so ordered a few €1,000 worth of steel and handle material, and then it turned up, and then I got hit with my tax, which is 25%. I thought, this is definitely not worth it. So shut the business, and I don't. And as long as I stay under, I don't know, what is it, 50,000, or maybe it's more than that, 100,000 kroner a year, or then I don't have to worry. I can declare as a second income, but I don't have to document it. But and then through my website, I always, if I put stuff up to sell on my website, it's always, if it's within Europe, then the price is with European tax, depending on where it's going. And then if it's outside of mainland Europe or the US, or generally just UK and US, then it's shipped tax-free, but then they are liable for whatever comes. It's just a pain. So
yeah, it's not that easy.
No,
trying to figure that stuff out, at least all by yourself and keeping up to date and code and
and because it's such a small volume of financial volume, I don't legally have to get an accountant, so I then try and bumble through on my own through the Danish tax system. then I end up at the end of the year getting a little letter saying, did you remember to pay this? I'm like, nope. Okay. Then I'll pay it. But that's why it's funny to be a hobby and it's not too serious. If I make something, I make something. If I don't, I don't. And then a lady came out to me at work today in the office saying, I found you on Instagram last night. I was like, oh God, what did you see? She went, I need a knife for my husband's birthday. I'm like, okay, when is it? Oh, Saturday. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, and she was actually annoyed I didn't have knives on the shelf sitting at home. Well, I do, but not for her. But she was annoyed I didn't have stock of a knife that she could just buy in cash right there and take home. It's like, that's not the way I work. She's like, well, then I'll just have to go to like the kitchen store and buy one. Like, okay, then do that.
That wasn't your customer then.
No. And there's 2, maybe 3 big knife shops in Copenhagen that everyone goes to. As soon as you say want to spend over 500 euros or so on a kitchen knife, like high end, I would call. There's 3 shops they go to, and they all push non-Danish makers. A lot of them are Japanese knives imported. And then you get someone who comes up to you and say, "Oh, I'd like this knife," and you're like, "Oh, well, that's a stainless Damascus or stainless pattern steel, and that's an expensive handle, and this, and you break it down for them. And you say, "Well, that's plus my hours. If I want to actually do it for a little bit of profit, it'll be X amount." They're like, "Oh God, I can get 2 knives from this shop for that." I'm like, then go and get those. Just. Yeah. I like as a hobby, but I also don't want to work for free.
No, as soon as you start undercutting yourself and you're not making anything or very little, it becomes like a chore and it takes the fun out of it all.
But I had a fun little experiment 2 years ago. I don't know if either of you know the guy. He's a woodworker in the US called Bourbon Moth Woodworking, and he's a woodworking YouTuber. That's probably enough to say. But he did a guide or an introduction of how he got started, and I copied one of his techniques, and it actually was quite surprising the interest I got. Where he didn't have very much money when he was starting, but he had the desire to make furniture. So he wrote out or advertised saying that I will make for cost 5 pieces of furniture. So everyone will put their applications in. I'll choose 5. We'll agree the cost between the furniture maker and the client, and then you only pay for the cost of materials. So he gets to build his his back catalog, and the person who buys it gets a cheap piece of furniture. And I did that with my knives and put them up on the website saying, I'll do it at cost, and gave some estimates of like costs of knives and so on. And I put it up for 1 day and got 25 people filling it in. And then I made 5 of them. And by God, customers are a pain in the ass. So you say to them, "Oh, this is what you want," this is what you've asked for, and you go through the whole design process, and you say, "Well, what do you like? How do you hold it?" And it was it was custom to the nth degree for these people. And then they came back with saying, "Oh, well, that wasn't exactly what I wanted," or this, that, and some of them ordered Damasteel, and they said, "Oh, I want a Santoko of 175 millimeters of Damasteel," and you're like, "Well, the steel is this much." "Oh, that's insane! Why would I buy that?" And you're like, "Well, that's what you asked for." But the 5. Sorry, carry on.
No, when you get the 5 knives at costing, then you get all the people that, yeah, sure, I want a custom knife. They know nothing about it. They have no idea what goes into it, the price, the amount of tools, experience, everything that you need. So you're hitting people again that are like not really, at least for a knife maker, those aren't your customers either. It might have worked for the furniture guy.
Yeah, and actually, I thought it was not too bad of an experience, because I got some people, and I've got one guy who keeps coming back. Like every year he will come and buy a knife. He will say, I would like a new knife, this steel, this handle, when can you do it? And he's been my one biggest customer since I started. Or repeat customer, should I say. But some of the people, some of them were great. They just said, I want a carbon steel knife, Western chef, faceted handle, little bit of a swell here and here, and I want it 7 inches or 175 mil. And you're like, great, that'll cost this much. And they say, great. And it was perfect because I got the materials in, they put half a deposit down at the start, made the knife, sent it to them, they paid the balance, and job done. Well, they paid the balance before I sent the knife, but and then I got some knives out and got some new materials that I never used, and found out that I really, really don't want to ever use Damasteel again because it's just the fear of grinding thin on a Damasteel blade, knowing how much it's worth. It's just another level. It's just but. Really, at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to find people to buy knives, and just that's why I started just giving them to friends and family, and after that, it's just become passive, I guess. Like you get the odd person popping up on Instagram saying, "Oh, that's a nice knife. Can you make more?" And then occasionally I send out an email or a newsletter if I've got like 5 or 6 finished that I don't have homes for, and they go up. But it's very... I have no desire to sell. That sounds awful, but that's not the purpose for me. So it's very hard to then push it and like price my work. There's 2 prices in my head when I have a knife. It's like what I think it's worth and what I think I should get paid for it. And I have an inner turmoil between those 2 all the time when I put knives in like an art, in like a little show or up online. I'm thinking, well, the materials are €300 and I use 10 hours to make this knife, but I can't charge my normal daily rate for it. So I end up always underpricing my knives. I think like my stainless chef knives, I put up like, I don't even know what that is in euros, like 1,500 crowns. So it's not, they're not IKEA level, but they're not really expensive. But people who generally buy them will say, you need to put your prices up. I'm like, but then like 1,500 crowns in euros is... Oh, that's not very helpful. 200 euros. And that will be a hand-sanded, not belt-finished stainless knife. And people are saying, oh, I would pay more for that. And like, well, I find it hard to charge more because the materials are not super expensive. And if I'm making one chef knife, I will generally make 2.
Yeah, but they're paying for more than just material. They're paying for your experience,
yeah,
the story, and you as a maker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough when you first start trying to figure out how you're gonna price. But I agree with all your customers. That's not enough money.
Yeah.
But it's actually the really odd one. Like I made a batch of I don't even know what you call them. They have a Japanese name, like marking knives. They use a woodworking. Like single beveled, super sharp, very no wood, no handle, just steel. Is it Kiridashis?
Kiridashi.
I made a batch of
yeah.
those with 2 pieces of laminated steel. So I had some Blue 2 and some what was the other? 15N20 on the side. And I made 10 of those, and I don't think I've ever sold anything quicker than those. And they were super fun and easy and quick to make, and they were razor sharp, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy making those. Because it was so much more like a batch production.
Yeah, I think it's the price when the Kiridashis are usually cheap.
Yeah.
And it's something people can, especially at a show, they want to go home with something.
Yeah.
So if you were selling your other knives for 200, how much did you sell the Kiridashi for?
They were 800 krona, so just over half of that. So around 100 euros with a simple leather cover because they were deadly. They were deadly to ship. The first one didn't make it. The guy just got a box with a hole in the end. So, yeah, but it's tricky to price things, and I see people's knives, and honestly, I buy a lot of knives as well from other people, and I get them and I think, well, I paid that, but I can see things that on theirs that is better than mine that I think, then I can't put my price up yet. But then when I go to shows or sell them or give them, and people are like, oh, that's not very much. Why is it no more than that? And I just can't make that leap to go up, because then I worry people won't want them. So
let's ask Albert. Albert, how do you figure out your pricing? Do you have some kind of a special formula that you use, or do you just look at it and say?
I don't. I up my prices once a year, every year in January, and I started out also with 250 euros for my standard stainless chef knife. So, because when you start out, at least you want to get some money out of it. So material is like 50 euros or something. And even if it takes you 10 hours, you start out by doing it as a hobby. And if the hobby pays for itself, then it's an awesome hobby already. So, but then I upped my prices every year. And now we have certain categories for like a standard stainless chef knife, which starts at around 350, 400 euros. Then we have a standard Damascus knife, which starts at around 550. So we have these categories we work in. And then we have like the fancy steels like Apex Ultra Damascus Laminate, which starts at around 1,000 euros. What helped us was thinking in categories, not so much how we come up with the prices, because a stainless steel chef knife, if it's well finished, it's almost as much work as a Damascus blade, right?
Yeah.
So because a proper hand sanding, let's say up to 600 grit or something, is also hard to do. I mean, and especially on stainless, where you see every scratch that goes into a wrong direction. Not so much with Damascus, because in Damascus you etch the Damascus anyway, and then
hide a lot.
Yeah, so it hides a lot, the Damascus pattern. So if you can make your own Damascus, a stainless steel chef knife, well done, is as much work as a Damascus blade, in my opinion. But Damascus blades are generally more expensive, so that's why we charge more for Damascus blades. We take a look at the market, try to find out what other people charge for their work, then we compare it to our work, and then we come up with our prices. So that's our thing. So we let the market dictate our prices to a certain degree.
Yeah. But how long you've been making for? How long now? 6, 7 years?
I also started 2019, just like you. Yeah.
And you see the demand. You have a constant stream of demand, I guess, for your work.
Yes, I have a few returning customers. I also do a lot of batch work. I just sold 40 steak knives to a big steakhouse and restaurant in Vienna. So I'd rather do one shots, so like fancy blades, all the Damascus blades all the time. But that's just not how it works when you're running a business, especially when you're starting out. So sometimes you have to hand sand 40 steak knives. What are you gonna do?
Cry.
I mean, if you want to make a living with this, then you'd have to do it. So, but we stopped selling our stuff below what we think it is worth.
Did you have a period where you couldn't get the higher prices, or did you? With the first time you put it up to where you think it was the correct value, did they still sell? Or
yeah, they still sold, because we did that at a point where we already had the demand. So, but whenever you start out, you have to sell your stuff under value, I guess. That's happened to all of us when we started out. So I think that's very natural. But then you establish a name for yourself, and people get to know you, and then you can up your prices. I think that's a very natural procedure.
Yeah.
Right. So
And that's the thing I think I'd struggle with the most, and making that leap is because, I have some returning customers, but most people kind of stumble onto me, or they will see that I've given enough out to people I work with, and the social groups that I have through work are reasonably highly educated. Denmark is reasonably affluent in its culture. So people will see something on a knife blog and go, "Oh, where did you get that?" And then I'll get some trickle down from knives I've given out. But not enough that people search me out knowing me. So, and I don't think that will only come with higher volume, but I'm a bit concerned will I lose the love for doing it if I then suddenly say, "Oh, I want to try and do 2 knives a week on top of 3 kids and the business and a full-time job." Will I then burn out because I do it for fun? And that, I think, is a hard balance.
Yeah, but if you're doing it for fun, you're in a good position, right? Because you can decide whether or not you want to do some knives. If you're doing it as a business,
you don't have a choice.
you don't have a choice most of the time. So
it's a tricky one. I think I worked out that if I had to match my 9-to-5 job, I would definitely stop loving knife making, because you'd have to sell a lot of knives, and an obscene amount of knives, and I think I'd run out of people in Denmark first.
I mean, making a living with making knives is super hard, and I think almost impossible, or it's very likely that it doesn't work out. So almost all the successful knife makers and bladesmiths I know, they all have some kind of side business.
Classes.
Be it classes, steel, handle material, selling stuff, they import it, whatever, or building tools, machines, whatever.
Something on the side.
Something on the side, yeah. Because if the demand for knives declines, then you have to compensate for that somehow, right?
But did you start just making knives, or did you always make the steel on the side? And
no, I started making knives. Then I started making tools, stabilizing wood, then steel, and I've always been doing classes. So that's how we do it, and it wouldn't work without all these branches.
You need these separate income streams to make the whole business work.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, it's much more fun if you have various things to do, not just making knives.
Keeps stuff interesting.
Yeah, it keeps stuff interesting, right? And also we do a lot of product development and stuff with new tools and new jigs and new machines and stuff. So that's, or fixing old machines and selling them again. So that's also very profitable.
So you might be the guy I need to help getting my surface grinder running then. I bought an old surface grinder off, the equivalent of like the US Craigslist, kind of like a free marketplace. Some guy said, "It's on a pallet, come and get it," kind of thing. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Turned up and it's like a 2-ton surface grinder. And it works fine as long as you hold the on switch on, or otherwise the motor seems to trip out on its backstroke. But it's a very nice old machine.
Sounds like a minor electrical issue, so that should be easy to fix.
But I keep looking at it going, "Oh, everyone seems to convert them to belts, but I kind of like the old stone look of it."
Really? You still have the stone on your machine?
It came with, I think, six packing cases of different stones with the machine, and
And do you change them? Or do you have always the same stone?
Mostly I just use the one stone. This white silicon is, not very aggressive, but it's very fine. But it's got a, 150, maybe 200 mil by 400 mil magnetic chuck on it. It's massive. It's one of those things you go and pick up whilst you've agreed to it, and you think, "Oh, this might be a mistake." But it's a lovely old machine, and it's amazing at doing what I needed to do, but it's a bit overkill, especially because I have a surface grinder attachment on my belt grinder as well. So.
Okay. What kind of belt grinder do you have?
Yeah, not one of Matt's.
Yeah, but Matt's gone, so...
Yeah. I have one
Batco.
No. I wish. I bought a Batco originally and returned it within the first day.
Where's it from?
Europe, Eastern Europe.
Poland.
No. Oh God, that's embarrassing. I can't remember what it's called. It's gone in my head. It's a very nice machine.
But you have a surface grinding attachment for it.
Yeah,
right?
but I retrofitted one from Ewan at 84 Engineering in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first big tool I bought, and it was more than I needed, and it has everything, small wheel or radius platen or this, that, and the other for it, and big wheels, small wheels, everything I need, and it's great. And it's I made a mistake of ordering it 1.5 inch square arms, so every time I need to find a piece of aluminium to make a new arm, I have to kind of mill down from a 40 mil to a 38.
Oh shit.
So that was a mistake, but it was very, very solid machines made out of the main bodies out of aluminium. I keep talking to Matt about getting a new one from him because it annoys me that I keep having to change setups for small wheel attachment or putting my big wheel on the side. And I think, why wouldn't it just be easier to have a second one set up and just use that? But but then I have to have the space for it.
Yeah, you can never have enough belt grinders.
No, and I get through so many belts, and I don't know, I have this horrible habit of taking these beautiful structured, the one that have the microns, the A30 60s. They have
Trizac.
The Trizac ones, and then using on the edge of a knife and putting a groove down the middle of them and going,
fuck.
Oh, Jesus. I can't use that again.
And they're so expensive.
Yeah. And then I have them all hanging up, and I think, no, I just need to do the edge. I'll just use a high grit ceramic, but I mainly use I have a disc sander that I use a lot for my chef knives, which I think that was the second machine I bought, and I love it far too much. And then I bought one of Matt's kits and put it on the tilting base so I can have it vertically or horizontally, and it's so nice to use.
So you have the Van.
Yeah. I originally ordered it from Matt, and he was awesome, and he sent it straight out, and I didn't have any welding gas, so he welded it up for me and sent it, because I was too lazy to go and get welding gas. And then I fitted it on and then tried to tilt it, and I realized that my original disc sander has like a 3 horsepower motor on it, and it didn't fit.
That was too big.
So I sent it back, and then Matt cut it in half and welded in an extra section. So it's super tool, but it's really nice and really solid. And Matt bends over backwards to help people most of the time. So he's as much shit as you give him, he's a sound guy. But you have to keep giving him shit for it.
They just give him back what he gives us. It's Dutch, though. That's how he treats us.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure he deserves everything he gives.
So, guys, we're hitting like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I've been waffling. I'm sorry. Nobody talks to me for this long about knives without running off. So,
well, for anybody who wants to get a knife, what was the 250, something like that?
No, 200. 200.
Yeah.
200? I thought it was 250. See, I was trying to get you some extra cash.
Oh yeah, there's nothing on the store right now, so I can always put the prices up. No,
where can everybody find you?
The simplest way is, honestly, I have a simple little website that has my email on the bottom of it, and it's 13k.dk, which stands for this, and I get the abuse for this so much. The name of the company, this Tretten Knife without an S, is because it's Danish for 13 knives. So 13k.dk, or I'm also Tretten Knive or Tretten Knife without the S on Instagram. But normally email is the easiest thing, because I don't go on Instagram that much unless I'm doing something purposeful, like writing to Albert about silly little things.
But why is it called 13 knives? Why 13?
It goes, yeah. long story short is 13 was my lucky number when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been part of me through school and rugby and competing horses. And it's always been 13. And now I live in number 13, the house.
Ah, cool.
So there's a picture on, I think it's on the About page on my website. That 13 is on the side of my house. So
okay.
So it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the number of people that have emailed me saying, "Do you know you spelt your name wrong?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Yeah. But at that point, it was a registered company, so I couldn't change it. So, but it is what it is now. But that's me.
Anything else you want to plug, Albert, Alex? Matt's not here, so.
No, but you didn't read out the Patreons.
I'm just gonna say, should we talk about our Patreons?
Yeah, we should.
When are you upping your Patreon amount from €1?
I don't know how much you want to pay.
What? You should see
you should start working on tiers.
You should see how much the idiots give Fire and Steel podcast.
Yeah, I'm also one of those idiots.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but you need to go up from $1, get something, and some beer money for Solingen. Or
yeah, so we got I don't know how many patrons we got now. We got 11 patrons left. We had 2 cancel on us. We got Christoph Stiegler from Country Knives, Sven from Njord Artisan, Johan Fagerlund from Fagerlund Bladesmith, Travis Haynes from Bird Forge. He's also the sponsor from Pelican Paste. And we got Roy Rutten, Shay Darchon, Paul Belletta from Belletta Handmaids, Mr. Coy Baker from Baker Forge and Tool. Matt's not here to help me. I'll try this one. Pim Van Delft from Van Delft Woods. Mr. Alex Greenaway, our guest tonight from Tretten Knives, and Cardoso Knives.
So Bernhard didn't join then our list of patrons.
No.
So
maybe he doesn't know where to find us. You guys got to go to patreon.com and look up WFI Europe Podcast. So anyway, thanks to our patrons and to our guest tonight, Alex. It was nice talking with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming along. Yeah.
Sorry for talking your ears off for hours.
No, we do that every week.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yeah.
That was great fun having you on.
Yeah.
And I'll see you both in Germany in 10 days or so.
Yeah.
It's all in. Yep.
We are going out for drinks on Friday if you want to join us. I already told you that, right?
Yeah, but now you have time to recant your invitation after this. So I'll give you a couple of days to cancel. But I heard that Martin Huber has a house, so everyone seems to be partying at his place.
Yeah, but that's happening on Saturday.
Ah, okay.
But we're going out for drinks Friday night, aren't we, Keith?
That's right.
Yeah.
You booked the table, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All set to go.
Yeah, but I'm not there until Saturday morning. Sadly, I've got family stuff on Friday. Okay. We have bank holiday here Thursday, Friday, so I have family stuff.
Yeah, come see us at the main hall.
Yes.
And up on the stage in the back left corner, you can leave your bag there and then go check out the show.
That would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right, thanks again. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, guys.